Hello and welcome to a new episode with my big time school friend, Daryl Saldana. How are you, buddy?
Hey Manan, what's up? Yeah, doing great. Yeah, firstly, it's great, dude, to be on your podcast. I mean, I've been following it since a while now, and the kind of episodes and the kind of content is great. So, firstly, kudos to you and your team on that. It's
Thank
been an
you.
amazing time, and it's been great. It's been going great. Like things in Mumbai, it's been raining heavily since the past week. I'm assuming Dubai. How is it in Dubai? I think it's good.
It's sunny 24/7. No,
That just sounds like Dubai forever, but yeah, nice. Yeah, I mean, Dubai, it's a good
uh,
experience. Good to see you. Good to hear from you.
yeah,
Yeah, good to speak to you here. So I guess yeah, let's start. Yeah, I mean, let's not waste time
yeah.
anymore.
No, there is no time wasted here in this. We can talk endlessly on this. So, yeah, Daryl, I've known you since school, and but one thing is quite evident, and everyone who knows you must have noticed is you are equally good in sports as well as studies. So, and can you tell me about your sports journey first, and later we can, move on to the study wala part.
Oh, okay, great. So sports has been very interesting. Like till date, it's very close to me. So how it all began was when I was 5 years old. I started playing football for my school team, DSSC, and I was the captain until second standard for DSSC school in Borivali, Mumbai. So I was the football
Wow.
team captain there, and we won the MDFA. Sorry, we won the MSSA. Like when I was the captain in the school team, and like after that I moved to another school, ICSE. So that did not really have a football team. So the
Hmm.
issue because of that, we never really like I never really got to play football for the school. And what
Hmm.
happens in Mumbai is if you don't play football for the school, you don't really go anywhere. Like you need to play those school tournaments to reach from like the state, from the district to the state level, because that's the kind
Hmm.
of promotion that is there. So I never really got a chance to play football like through school or district. But when I reached my 11th standard, I kind of joined back into, you could say, the professional football, where I joined
Oh.
this club called DECA. So DECA is
Hmm.
basically a club which plays for MDFA. Now MDFA is basically a league in Mumbai which has different tiers. Like if you see EPL, it has different divisions, right? Like first
Hmm.
division, second, and all, championship and all that. Similarly, MDFA has different divisions for clubs in Mumbai. So I used
Hmm.
to play for the Super Division, which is a division, two divisions below the I League. So there is I League, then there
Okay.
is Elite Division, and then there is Super Division. So I used to play for the Super
Whoa.
Division. So that was some good experience for football and good learning. So that's my major sports journey about football. Apart
Hmm.
from football, I engage in athletics. Like in our school days, athletics, I was always the you could call the guy
Yeah, and
to.
you can brag about it because
No, no, I try
see,
not to brag.
no,
I wouldn't mention
you
about the athlete of the year, the sportsman of the year, and all that. I don't like to flex about all of that.
no
About how
because
I won sports day every year in school, all of that. I don't do that. No, I don't do that here on public forums. But
oh my god,
but
you will have to tell him because I don't have a very clear memory of the school time. All I remember is that you were the sports captain, and whichever
yeah,
athletics areas were
sports
there,
days.
you were acing all of them. So now you can
Yes.
brag about your school achievements also. Please tell me about it.
So I remember every race I obviously won. So
Yes.
even in DSSC, when I was in the school which had 600 people in the batch, I still
Hmm.
stood first in the 100 meters and 200 meters. So
Whoa.
so it wasn't just a smaller batch when I came to ICSE. The batch was smaller and I was winning every year. It was even when I was in a bigger batch of 600 people in my standard, I still
Right.
won it in general. So it's not a
Hmm.
flex, but I'm just saying that's what my journey has been like. That's why I'm so athletic in general and I'm so fit about football and all. In fact,
Right.
another interesting sport I would like to bring up here, since we are on topic of fitness and stamina, is marathon running. So this is
Hmm.
something I picked up in, say, around my, I could say, first year of college actually. So what happened
Hmm.
was we had a sports day in college, and there were two
Hmm.
events Okay, a little flashback before that. This is junior
Hmm.
college in St. Andrews, Bandra. So St. Andrews, Bandra is basically a college which is very well known for its footballers and stuff, and
Right.
footballers who play very good football. And we
Hmm.
had a sports day there. So when I went for the sports day for a 2,500 and a 3,000 meter race, I was very like underconfident because these were like proper footballers who played state level and stuff, right? And
Okay.
I was kind of running against them. Like I was supposed
Hmm.
to run a 3,000 meters race against them, and I had no professional experience as such. And then I just went for the race and I started running. And no one knew me because I was not a footballer. I never played anything, and no one had any idea who this Dyer is.
Yes, and
I
plus in junior, if you're in junior, if you're talking about junior college, then obviously the not many people also knew you apart from your own circles.
yeah, not many people knew about me from my own circle. So it's like I ran the race, and after the race, immediately after the race, all these footballers, like state level guys and all, come to me. It's like, hey Darren, how do you have so much stamina? And I
Hmm.
didn't have an answer to explain it because I'm like, I play football, but it's not like I played for state and all. I'm just another guy, dude. I don't play football like for state. And they
Right.
were very surprised. And then that was my long distance running journey, how it started.
So is this the race you defeated the state level champion? Is this the
Oh,
same race or
no,
a
no.
different
This
race?
is a different one. The one where I defeated the state level champion was in degree college. Like when I was in Wilson's, I
Uh-huh.
stood I stood second there in athletics, like in that long distance race. But I
Hmm.
defeated a guy who was a state level champion. So what happened was it was a very melodramatic end. Like I
Hmm.
was running, I was leading the whole race by a long distance, and just 50 meters before the race, like 3,000 meters ka end mein 50 meters,
Hmm.
because my shoes didn't have the grip, I slipped and I fell down. And
Whoa.
that's when the guy from behind me came and took over me. And that's how I got up and I came. So I was winning that race. It's just because I slipped in the last 50 meters did I stand second in that race. So,
Oh my God.
so you can
So
see how
let's,
it.
I mean, see, irrespective of what the real result is, to me, you are the winner of that race. Does
No,
not
no,
matter the guy overtook you and outran you. No, 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 no,
no,
no.
no. I still see the thing about sports is you count about see football for example, right? Penalties. Think for example the whole match, like the finals, apna England, right?
Euro Cup,
England,
right?
yeah, Euro Cup of finals. Now England can't go and be like, "Nahi, Rashford scored the penalty, he shouldn't have scored it because of that we lost." You can't give all those excuses and be like, "Arey nahi, 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 iski wajah se." It's just that it's at the end of the day who gets the first place, second place, and third place. That's what sport has taught me personally. Like, you can't go cribbing about the result after you lose it. If you lose, you lose.
Hmm.
If you take it like a sportsman, like that's the spirit of
Right.
sports, right? You can't be like, "Arey, nahi, I am better at it." Like you should be competitive, but while the game is on, as soon as the result is out, yes, this is the result, and this is what it is. That is the final
Hmm.
result. So I just wanted to touch upon the marathon running since now COVID is on and it's not really a marathon season. I just
Hmm.
wanted to highlight what I did in marathons too because I feel marathon is something not many 18 to 25-year-olds engage in. That's something I've always seen people after their 30s and 40s start doing marathons.
Right. Yeah.
So the
Because
thing
it is
about
seen as a more steady sports.
yeah, it's seen as a more steady sport, and not many young people want to engage in marathons. So I'm not acting as a guy who's going like, dude, you should run marathons, you should do marathons. But I'm just saying, marathon is a very like a community experience, if you could call it. So what happens in other sports is it's a very individualistic experience. Like you'll play
Hmm.
football will be in your circle, your friend circle. Cricket will be in your friend circle. But marathon is that one sport where you run with people from all across the city. So I don't know if you are into running, if you're not into running, but you should at least try one marathon in your lifetime. I'm not saying run the 42 kilometers because that is like a lot to run, but just
Yes.
run a 5 kilometer race, run a 10 kilometer race along with 3,000 people because that experience of running along with 3,000 people and not even competing against everyone, you're competing against yourself. You want to see how much you can run a 5 kilometers or 10 kilometers. Like my
Hmm.
first and only marathon I ran, which was 10 kilometers, I just wanted to better myself. And it was a race, I think, Jew Marathon. It was back in February. And I kind of like
2020.
yeah 2020 no 2019, so it was 2019 the
Hmm.
time, and we kind of like just I ran the race and I didn't really expect, like, I didn't have any kind of expectations. And in the race of 3,000 runners, I stood 19. So that for me was a very enriching experience because I didn't have any marathon experience and I still stood 19th over there. And I was like,
Right.
whoa, if in my first race I stood 19, I can
Hmm.
definitely do better when I go for my next races. So I was like, let's see how does these races go about. So sports has always been great, and I think personally also, and even in general for like my friend circle, I would say
Hmm.
it's filled with a lot of sports people and a lot of athletes and a lot of marathon runners, and that's what like helps me grow in general that way. So
Right. I did run a marathon once when I was in first year junior college, right? So
oh,
as being the first year, people are quite blindly enthusiastic about the festival Umang. They
okay,
Umang NM's Umang,
NM
and
Sumang, yes.
they had organized a race of 4 kilometers, and there's the same area only, Juho, and completed that race in 19 minutes and some seconds.
Oh,
So yeah, so I to me I did well. I mean, obviously I'm not as good as you in athletics, but
no.
I did quite well for me. And the person who came first, he's he clocked 4 minutes and some seconds. In 4 minutes
Oh,
or some seconds, he completed a 4 kilometer race.
4 kilometers
So
in
that
4 minutes. Are
yeah,
you
that was
sure?
quite fast.
Oh,
Yes,
usually
yes, I'm
people
quite
do.
sure.
Acha, because usually people do like 5 kilometers in say 12 to 15 minutes. Like 5 kilometers, ka average is that much. So
Then maybe it
maybe,
must have been 5 or 7 minutes, but it was in
yeah,
single
yeah.
digits. It never crossed the two-digit
Acha, it
mark.
never crossed the 2-digit mark.
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
nice,
yes.
nice, nice.
So that was quite fascinating. I mean, then I did not run the marathon. I focused
Acha,
football only. I mean, we play football together at times
yeah,
at
yeah.
Gorai. So yeah,
Football.
that was quite football. Football stuck around for a while, quite a long time. Other sports, I switched to gymming and for my own reasons. But yeah,
Nice.
as an athletics, I did not stick around for a long time.
In fact, the thing about football, right, in India, so India by itself is a very cricket crazy country, like
Cricket
like as
oriented,
a
yes.
national presence, if you see, cricket is very
Hmm.
crazy. But I think
Right.
it's just that in our community, like where we stayed in Mumbai in Borivali, I think
Hmm.
that is where it was a very football, like IC colony, the colony we lived
Hmm.
in,
Hmm. Hmm.
was a very football dominated colony. So I think that is one part of why we ended up playing football in that.
Yes. And
The
and if I'm not wrong, see that you stay in IC colony, so even you were an influence on the other students who were in school to switch to football more than play cricket.
yes,
So
yes.
that was also a good experience for the so-called cricket fans. Let's try football once, and then we stuck around till date.
Yes, yes. Football has been like I remember like I always like even my cousins and all my younger cousins and all I just tell them just join football. It's such a beautiful sport. And I think I have a lot of cousins who ended up playing for their school teams and all because I forced them into football coaching. I'm like, this is one sport you have to go to. But Manan, I came across this interesting fact the other day.
Yeah,
It was like, so what is the national sport of India?
it's hockey.
No, it isn't. That is the interesting fact. India doesn't have a national sport. So the funny part about India is we all think hockey is the national sport and that's what we've been taught
Yes,
since school days, right?
in school also. Yes,
In
yes,
school
yes.
we've been taught hockey is a national sport and all. But
Uh,
hockey is not a national sport. India doesn't officially have a national sport. Like India doesn't have an official national language. Like Hindi is
uh,
not the national language. Like we don't
hmm.
have an official national language. Similarly, hockey is not the national sport. Like it's just a common place. Everyone thinks hockey is this national sport kind of a thing, but it is not. So these are
Now,
like
what have we been fed for so
these are
long in
like
our life?
so these are
Is
like
it a
some
simulation now?
you can just Google it right now in front of me. Just you will still say
So they pull
hockey and
up.
kind of
Yes, yes, we'll do it right now.
you
They
can
pull
do
up
it right
the
now.
Google tab.
Yes, you can do it right now, but hockey is not the national sport. India doesn't have a national sport. It's just the
Yeah.
era where hockey is dominated, like the era where there was a domination of hockey, and India had its prime there. So everyone it's like an unsaid thing that hockey is, but we don't really
Mm-hmm.
have a national sport in India. So
Wow,
India's sports journey has been interesting. It's been great.
we'll check out. Here is why India does not have a national sport, and how is this is a recent article.
Yes,
First
hockey is
one,
not a national game. Times of
2
India. See,
August.
it's very established people who are saying hockey is not a national game. So it's not just.
Oh, India won 6 consecutive hockey gold medals at Olympics between 1928 and 56. It is a wait, it is a national game, and that's why whenever the men in blue show their dribbling skill on the green turf at a game venue, our heart goes to them. Not just a sports buff, but the students in every school have at some point learned some of these facts. Ah, right.
So like the Olympic success that India had. So it's just
Huh.
in school textbooks you've been taught that hockey is like this national sport we have. Hockey is a great sport. I have no denying to that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's
Right.
just on record officially it's not the national sport. So that is like what it is in general.
Wow, this is a new learning that we'll have to fact check everything that is being
Yeah,
taught to us in school now.
even when I first came across this fact, I was like, wait, this can't be possible. My whole life I've been told hockey is the national sport, and suddenly
Exactly.
it's like, oh, it's not. So it's
My God.
great, yeah, in general.
So, Daryl, you are good in both football and athletics, you said. I mean, not good, I would say, or prolific, and you have achieved a lot. Was being a footballer or being a professional athlete and career option for you in when you were in 11th or 12th or after you passed your 10th exams?
That's actually a very interesting question, Manan, and I'm glad you asked this because I think a lot of young people would resonate this answer with me too in general.
Yes.
Those who kind of not reached the national team of India, but those who have somewhere tried to be there, like played for clubs, tried to get there, or even not been able to get there after trying. So I'll tell you from my personal experience how it went about. So, like I said, I didn't get a chance to play professionally for national or state level because my school never really had a football team, and that was a mandate for at least Mumbai city that your school needed to win the state and district level. So that was never a thing for me.
So it was like, so if you were a team, if you were a player in the team that won a state level championship, then you can be considered for.
Yes, then you get qualified for the national qualifiers, national selections.
So not even just being a player is enough. You have to win it with the team.
You have to win it with the team because
wow.
To give them justice, like to for their side of defense, like the national team selections defense. And I'm not talking about the men's national team. I'm talking about grassroots, like under 16 national team, under 17, under 18 national teams of India. So now what happens is now they can't go around talking to all the lakhs of under 16-year-old footballers in India, right? So what they have to do is they have to select from the state level champions. So what would happen is there would be a state level championship like under 16 Maharashtra, under 16 Karnataka, all these state level teams would play together for the national cup. And that's when these national level football selection guys would come and they would basically kind of see, okay, are you fit to play for the national team from here? So that's when the national team selections would take place. Similarly, for the state team selections, they take place when you have the districts playing against each other, like Mumbai district versus Nagpur district versus Pune district. So that's when these teams would basically get formed, the Maharashtra level team and all. So it's like a very hierarchical thing. You have to first play for your city, then you have to play for your state, then you have to play for your country. So I personally never got the opportunity. But what happens is many people miss out on the opportunity like me too, because they were never really part of a strong school team or a strong city team. Because even city team plays a role, right? If you're from a small town and your town never really qualified for the city or the state thing, you'll never really get a chance to show at the national level. So in India, since that's the structure how it goes about, like you really can't like just be a very good footballer and just end up playing for the national without having these accreditations for yourself in all these things. So that's about football in general. The thing about cricket, now actually before I get into cricket, I want to even talk about another ISL which is coming up, right? So now the thing about ISL which has come up in India for football, it's been a very modern approach to football. Like before ISL came about, we had something called the I League. So I League
Right.
was the place which had Mohan Bagan, which had these big clubs playing, and that
Hmm.
was what the highest tier of football in India was.
Football is right.
Yeah. Now, after the advent of ISL, what has happened is because ISL has come into the picture, we have these sponsors like Hero, we have Star Sports, we have like these big names who are actually funding these clubs like Mumbai City, Hyderabad FC, and all that. And it's being
Hmm.
broadcasted more heavily on TV. So it's been a very like the promotion, I would say, of football has been increased due to ISL. So
Hmm.
now it's not the only route that you had a I League where people wanted to play for, but it's even that footballers can now go play for the ISL too. And even ISL has like ISL clubs, they even have a under 17, under 19 leagues which they do.
Hmm.
So it's not
Like the
just
scouts,
yeah,
scout
like the
system they
scouts, you
follow.
could say, the youth academy they follow. So if you're
Hmm.
part of that youth academy, you can play for the ISL, and you can be broadcasted on TV, which is a big thing, right? You get to see yourself on TV. Like imagine your parents seeing you on TV playing football, which I
At
think for
17.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very for anyone, it's a
Ve-
very great thing, right?
Huge thing, right?
Yeah, which is a very huge thing. So that's the thing about football in general. Like grassroots are strong, but it's just that they have to get more strong. Like they are not strong enough. The kind of facilities in terms of the infrastructure. When I say infrastructure, the football grounds typically not like full
Hmm.
turf grounds we don't have everywhere. It's like still mud grounds that we play on and all that. So
Hmm.
infrastructure in India still has to improve, and that's the reason. If you just see that why is India ranked 70 or 80 or whatever, like like whatever rank India has in football, why does it have in general? So it's just because we can't compete with the Europeans and we can't compete with the US yet because our infrastructure and grassroots still has a long way to go. So I think with
Hmm.
time, slowly with ISL and all these other things coming, we will get better and we should get better that way. So career in sports was kind of that way for football. And cricket, I assume, has a better option in India. Like if you want to be a cricketer, it's relatively easier because cricket has that kind of fan base. So I was reading this article as to why doesn't a sport become popular in a country. So the main reason, like take a guess, what could be the main reason a sport doesn't get popular in like a country? What do you think could be the reason?
Maybe now that been in Dubai for like around a year, I can say that from the school time, it is not told that the sports can also be a career. So with a country like India, I can with a lot of surety say that if from the school we weren't told that sports can be a career. But here, if you see, there are people who are there are clubs also like Barcelona and Dortmund. They have their own mini academies. So the students over here are kind of aware that sports can be a career and they can go to Barcelona or Dortmund to play.
Got it.
So I guess this can be the major reason with respect to India. With respect to any other country, I cannot comment because I haven't read about it as much as you have read.
Makes sense. So no, so the thing was there was this thing where they said viewership in any sport is what makes it a national phenomenon. Because now if you see the number of viewers cricket has compared to the number of viewers football has. Like if you
Hmm.
watch an Indian national match, say Hotstar for example, if you just watch it on Hotstar, you'll see 9 lakh people viewing it. And the same
Yes.
Indian national football match, if you watch the football team, you will have 5k people watching. So where is 9 lakh compared to 5k? And I'll tell you why it's important. It's important because if the sport has to come up, it needs money and funding. And when is
Hmm.
money and funding going to come? When there are people watching it, right? So unless and until you have people watching things, you can't really. So if, say for example, I was hypothetically the sports minister, so one part of it would obviously improve things on a grassroots level for India for football and all. But
Hmm.
I would also find out ways about how do you increase the viewership and in general promote it as a whole for non-footballers. Like it's not just promoting it for footballers, but even for people who don't play football, how do I increase football presence for them? Because if you notice cricket, it's not just cricketers who watch cricket. There are people outside of cricket also who watch cricket.
Watch
So
cricket, right?
unless and until that becomes a thing for any sport, you can't really promote it to be like a national sport or a thing in a country that way. So
Mm-hmm.
that activities has to be done. And yeah, that's been pretty much what a career in football or a career in cricket in India could turn out to be like for you.
So with you mentioned ISL that it is the like the contemporary of I League now. What do you think that see it is evident that they have copied the Premier League model, the top tier and then the youth academy. So with that in place, what do you think football has the scope in India?
So I think with that coming, football scope has definitely increased. Like I have this friend, not a friend, he was a neighbor of mine who's currently playing for the Indian national team and plays for Hyderabad FC. So he's played
Hmm.
in my local community, and he's never really played for, say, you could say like the school. He's played for the school and all, but he's never remembered as someone who's like a great star for the school and all. But the
Hmm.
fact that he started playing for this I League and then ISL, because ISL came in recently, the fact that he
Hmm.
started playing for the ISL is when he got more, you could say, popular and started earning more money because of that.
Hmm.
Because it has more money, ISL for that matter, because of the
Right.
sponsors. So the kind of transfer fees and the kind of salaries you get is more in ISL as compared to your I League.
I League.
So yeah, so that's the reason your ISL has a lot of career options because of that. The sponsorship is more, and if you want to make a career in any field, you either need stability, money, right? So ISL gives you both of it. It gives you stability as well as it gives you the money. So people are like,
Hmm.
yeah, ISL is a thing where you get money. So people go behind it because there is money now in that ISL.
Money in it, yes.
Yeah.
So do you think when ISFM 2 or 3 years back, I read this article that I League now has a problem with ISL because the players are switching to ISL. Was I think it was around the time when Sunil Chetri moved from Bengal FC to he went Mumbai, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, so the thing is, ISL kind of gave a chance to two clubs to be sorry. Yeah, ISL gave a chance to two clubs to be a part of ISL from the I League.
Hmm.
But the
Hmm.
only issue was they
And which
needed,
were the two clubs?
I can't recall, one of it was Mohan Bagan and the other I
Hmm.
think was East or West Bengal. So I'm not sure
Ah,
about,
right. Bengal.
yeah,
That
yeah,
is why Sunil
Bengal.
Chetri, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the thing was, these clubs needed to have a minimum sponsorship amount.
Hmm.
So that was the only reason why they were kind of held back to be a part of ISL, like the I League clubs. So that was the only factor. There was nothing else where they were like, you're not a good enough club or something. It was just the money factor. So if you didn't have that
Hmm.
kind of sponsorship, you could not be a part of ISL. So that was the only reason. Apart from that, there is no other reason as such where, like, obviously there was a lot of like thing in the start where, oh my god, ISL is coming, what will happen of I League and all. But football is universal personally according to me. Sorry. So I don't think it's just that, you're part of ISL, like, or you're part of I League, or which is better, should we choose between the two and all. The way things are going, the amount of viewership is there currently, the ISL is more like the way they've marketed it at least. So I feel ISL has never been a thing where you're kind of bad about it or something. So yeah, that way.
So you don't have any second thoughts or regrets that I could have been a footballer, but the infrastructure wasn't there. You are quite happy with your current place.
No, obviously, yeah. You ask me if what I want to be today. If I want to play for the Indian national team, yes, I definitely. If you give it to me on a platter, I would any day choose it. But I don't live with regrets. Like everything happens for a reason, right? Like
Hmm.
the way I seen my 23-year-old journey coming, and today I know where I am. Like I still play football locally, and I still play, and I play like at least I consider myself decent enough. I don't know about others, but the thing is, I was like, there is no like regret. Okay, I'm not part of this national team. Like I see people from my colony, like
Hmm.
Keegan Dice, then there is Sana, and all these guys who played for the Indian national team. So seeing these guys play for the national team, I'm very happy that my colony has people who played for the Indian national team, and I've got a chance to play football with them. So after
Mm.
playing football with these national level footballers who played for the Indian national team, it just feels so nice that hey, like these people are one among me. So it doesn't matter whether I am playing for the Indian national team or whether Keegan Pereira is playing for the Indian national team. It just
Mm.
feels that yeah, it's the same thing, man. Like doesn't matter. Like I've never taken it personally. Why was I not part of the national team and stuff that way? So
So
yeah.
Keegan Pereira is the guy who played for Jamshedpur, right?
Yes. He's the guy who played for Jamshedpur, and
Mm.
he's kind of played. He's played for this Atletico Kolkata as well. I think. Yeah, he's played for Atletico Kolkata as well. Like the two
Right.
teams. Yeah. So
So
he's
do you
quite.
like? Have you ever asked him the question that being football such a sport that is not prominent in India and the current position you are in, how
Hmm.
happy you are with the money you are making or with your job satisfaction or something like that?
So I never got a chance to talk to him about the money he makes. Like I do know his figures and all, like by estimates and friends and all. But whenever I talk to him about football, like he used to kind of, you could say, play with our local club Decca. And
Mm.
by his humility and his experiences, he used to always be like, he used to like, he was a very humble guy firstly, and he used to always be like, hey, like he always thought of like he's played with Sunil Chetri. He used to chill with Sunil Chetri and stuff. Sunil Chetri is like the
Oh,
national. He's like the national captain, right? Like, he had Sunil Chetri in
mm.
his friend circle and stuff.
Wow.
So talking to him about football was like he said he always thought of football as a very uh, he was very honest about little things. Like he would say, football is a very physical game that you have to get
Mm.
into the picture right. Because if you want
Mm.
to play football, you have to be physically fit and stuff. And about how he felt, like that's the question, right? How he felt about playing for the national team, right? So how he felt for playing for the national team, he just went about like it was a great experience and nothing much actually. Like I never got
Mm.
in detail to talk, but he was always happy about playing for India.
Happy about it.
Yeah, he was always happy.
That's I mean, I don't know him personally, but kudos to him for his struggle and congratulations to him for his success that he has achieved.
Definitely.
So then, Daryl, if sports was not an option, then you went on to study BMS, and not only study, you aced that as well. You came out as a university topper, right?
No. I was a college topper. I was my college topper, and
Okay,
I
your
was a
college top.
university topper for one of the subjects, like one of my project research on Morgan Stanley. So I was the university topper for that. I got 100 on 100 for that. But
Whoa,
uh,
Daryl, what are you made of? You just tell me.
no,
You are
no,
good with sports. You're scoring 100 on 100 in research papers. Oh my God.
no, it's not that. It's not that. It's just uh, career in BMS. BMS has been interesting, yeah. So I'll tell you my story about how I ended up choosing BMS in.
Yes, because that is an interesting question. Because see, being a sports enthusiast as an achiever as well, a fair assumption would be to do, to study sports from Indian Institute of Sports Management, which is an Andheri. But then you take this turn where you switch to hardcore studies, BMS, and not only do that, you come out as a topper as well. So, what was the uh, fundamental thing behind this?
So I'll tell you, it begins with a college. Like I chose Andrews in my junior college because of the fact that it was a very sports driven college. Like it had
Hmm.
sports in it. So the first factor was never to be like, oh my god, Andrews is academically good, I'm gonna go there. So it was like
Hmm.
it has a very good football team. So that's the reason I go there. That was my 11th and 12th standard. Post
Okay.
it in my degree college, which is when I started doing my BMS. Again, Wilson's was a very sports driven college. It had a good football team and stuff. And that's the reason I
Hmm.
joined that college. So it's not that I had left football completely or football was not in the picture. These were like
Hmm.
good sports in the city. They were decent football teams that they had, these colleges. So sports was never out of the picture. Talking about how academics has been for me in general. So I think I would rather say like I did I did top my batch in BMS in my college, but academics was never a priority as such for me in general. I always thought of a holistic growth. Like it was not just college meant studies for me. College
Mhm.
meant activities as well as sports,
Studies.
as well as studies and sports. Yeah, everything. So
Hmm.
it was never like I have to just go to college for studies. I headed the public relations for our college. So
Hmm.
that was
For the
basically a,
fest you're talking
yeah, for the
about, or
fest.
some?
Yeah, college
Uh,
fest. Yeah. So I was the PR head for our college fest. And PR basically what it did was it interacted with different colleges and organized the fest in general. So I was the guy who basically coordinated with other colleges and got them to our college for their fest. So I was the
hmm.
guy who kind of was involved in that. So it wasn't just talking about like just academics. I want to just stand first in college. I want to just like I don't want to sound like Ranchor Das, but standing first was never my idea in college.
No, never your priority. With
Never my
that's what the
priority.
motive.
Yeah, that was never the motive. Like I never wanted to like stand first in college and all. In fact, I think the first semester I stood second or third or fourth. I was not even first. It's just that
Hmm.
I had that consistency in me that if exams are coming, I will make sure I study because that is what exams are for. Like I will study because exams are coming here. But it's just that it was never like, oh my god, I'm gonna just go whole day, I'm going to sit and study. I have enjoyed my college life in terms of fests, in terms of post-fest parties, like like the after parties and all. So it's never been
Hmm.
like, oh my god, I'm just going to sit and study the whole day. I've partied so hard in college, and all my college batchmates would resonate to this. Like we have this group called Rainbow Group, and
Hmm.
I have to talk about that group because it's been such a amazing group that has been there that
Hmm.
we've not forgotten one excuse to party. Like we made impromptu plans to go to Goa. We made one day before plans to go to Lonavala. We've traveled all the way in general to Manali. We've done our things there. We've done so. It's not just been that we kind of like I was this nerd who used to just study and do all of that. I made sure that I enjoyed my college life for the whole experience and not just for the academic part of it. That way.
Wow, that's so. I mean, I mean, see, people say, I mean, students say that, when I enter college, I'm going to have a wholesome experience, and I'm going to have a all-round development. And most of the time, it is just all talks and no action. But with you, it is quite evident. And I mean, nobody can question that you had a wholesome experience in college. Like you switch from sports to studies, then you become the topper, and you would do other activities, you go for trips. That's so great, man. Daryl, then why did you choose marketing as your core field in the college? Is
Oh,
it because is it because it was somewhere at the back of your mind, you knew that if I choose marketing, it was going to keep me closer to sports?
I think no, I would beg to differ. So when I thought about, so we had three options in BMS. We could
Hmm.
choose between HR, finance, or marketing. Now the thing was, very honestly speaking, HR was not something I wanted to do on a long term or short term. So that was out of the
Hmm.
picture completely. Now, coming back to marketing or finance. Now, the thing was, throughout my college days, we had to choose marketing in the second year. And by then, I had done a few internships. I had
Hmm.
done this internship at Book My Show, which was into handling digital marketing for them. I had done this internship at Zomato, which was basically again doing market research for them. So the thing was, I kind of like just, you could say, was dwelled into the marketing field because of these internships I did at Zomato and Book My Show. And that's why in my second year, like when I came to the third year, I had to choose a marketing. So I choose marketing as an option for that. And in fact, career, I wouldn't stop there. I would go on to build it on further. And how I ended up working at Morgan Stanley for a year. So the thing was, I kind of like did this, like Morgan Stanley came for placements, and I seen that Morgan Stanley it came for placements and for internships. Sorry, firstly they came for
Hmm.
internships, and I was like, why not test waters and see what finance also has in play? Like although I'd done this thing in marketing, like I was specialized in
Hmm.
marketing and all. I was like, okay, there's no harm in taking an internship at Morgan Stanley, so might as well just go for it and see what is there in the picture. So I sat for the internship placements at Morgan Stanley and I got through luckily. And I kind of had this 2 month experience in finance. And that's where I started loving finance for the kind of experience it offers. Like right from stock markets to investing. I started my own DMAT account where I started trading and I started investing in stocks and stuff, right? And when the final, like after the third year, when it finally came to picture, what do you choose as the immediate job right after your graduation ending? I ended up taking finance. Like for a year, I worked at Morgan Stanley because I had
Wow.
this love for finance in
No, this
general
is
at that time.
also new information to me, because the with the Instagram and with the LinkedIn, all I could make up my mind was that this guy is into marketing, and I did not know that for Morgan Stanley you were in for finance.
Yes, yes. I was in finance for a year and I love finance. I still till date love finance. And I've literally forced my closest friends to start reading finance, to start investing in stocks, to do so many things related to finance because I never thought of finance and marketing as two independent things. Like some people
Mm-hmm.
say, oh, finance is boring, marketing is all creative and all that. That's a very,
Mm-hmm.
like, I think, very layman and like generic approach to finance and marketing. Like, if you really get into finance, and if you have someone very interesting who tells you about finance, like we have this professor in our college for finance in Micah, and the way he talks about finance and the kind of perspective he gives you about finance, you don't think of finance as any other accounting subject for that matter. It would actually blow your mind and think of, oh, finance is this is so interesting and you can actually think so much. So that was finance for me. But then after working for a year at Morgan Stanley, I realized that I do like finance, but from a career point of view, it's not something I want to do on a daily basis. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
typical, if you say 9 to 5, as you call it. I wouldn't want to do finance that way. I still pursue finance as a hobby, but it's still a hobby. And that's the reason I switched back to marketing, like you know, and I kind of worked for 2 years at MediaNet into marketing.
Media.net, yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of been my career journey. And
Mm-hmm.
obviously, the next logical step after working for 2 to 3 years in the industry was doing my master's. So now, like you know, I'm currently pursuing my MBA
MBA
at
from
MICA.
Micah.
Yeah. So that's a core marketing college in India, and
Mm.
it specializes in various marketing fields. So that's what I'm currently doing. It's just been a very a fruitful journey in general of my marketing, and marketing has always been a very close stone for me. But like I said, there was a short span of finance also in the middle of it that way.
Micah. So has your college started, or is it going to start in the September or October month?
No, so college has started. It's been a month already that college has been on. It's been very interesting, the college as well. They teach you marketing from a very interesting viewpoint. Like
Mm.
they drill down creativity and marketing into such small anecdotes and such small examples. Like I'll give you an example. Like there was this
Mm.
point in our ideation lecture where everyone, like the professor, he started asking what is creativity and what is ideation and all of that, and everyone had their viewpoints. And you know what he said? He was like, if like I there was someone who answered answered a question. It's a discussion format, the lecture. Someone
Mhm.
answered the question, and someone else just kind of said that no, your idea is bad, like you're not correct. So the professor was like, we'll have this rule here at Micah, like in his lecture. If you ridicule an idea, you have to come up with two new ideas. Like if you're ridiculing
Okay.
an idea, you have to come up with two
Mm-hmm.
new ideas. And I tell you why that's interesting in marketing is because many a times, like I've seen people who don't get into marketing because they feel that they're not creative enough. And why
Creative
do you,
enough,
yeah,
right?
and why do you feel you're not creative enough? Because sometimes when you voice out an idea or something, you have a lot of thought that, oh, will this idea work out? There are so many hundred better
Mm-hmm.
ideas there and all that. But think of it this way, right? Like if you're getting out an idea, no one else has that idea or that creativity. It's very unique to you. It's based on your
Right.
upbringings and based on what environment you've been
You
part
have
of.
seen. Mm.
So it's just that he said, whoever ridicules the idea, it's just to promote creativity, right? Like think that if you are asked to if you ridicule an idea, you have to come up with two new ideas. So no one's going to ridicule your idea. You have the space to come up
Mm.
with your own idea, and that makes you very comfortable ideating and coming up with creativity.
Right.
That's what marketing is about in general, like coming up with your own ideas and putting it forward in a very nice way. That way.
No, this professor, is quite, objective about the way what he's teaching. When you say this, if you're ridiculing an idea, you have to come up with two new ideas. So even the person who will be criticizing the idea will have to come up with very strong points for the criticism.
Yes.
You cannot just, criticize for the sake of criticizing.
Exactly.
And it is going to put pressure on him as well, that if I don't make a fool of myself just by giving out some stupid idea that this idea is stupid.
Yes.
Right.
That's the thing.
That's
It's
great.
great, yeah. Micah, it's been so far so good. It's been a month. Like I wouldn't judge the college too soon and be like it's the best college ever or it's the worst college ever and all. I'm giving it my time, obviously. It's been great so far. This 1 month has been great. So let's see what else it has in store for me. So that's pretty much my MBA journey.
So your MBA course is full 2-year course, or it is 1 or 1.5 year course, like a fast track MBA?
No, so it's a 2-year MBA course. It's a full-time 2 years MBA course. The only thing is because of COVID, things are online right now, and we'll be going to campus pretty soon in a month. So it will be residential by say August, September. So it's just online now due to COVID. But like campus also is an amazing experience, right? Like if you relate to it, like living away from your parents, living kind of by yourself, independently growing by yourself. That also is, I feel, an experience everyone should
experience.
Yeah.
Right.
And
That's true.
yeah, because I think in India what happens is like parents don't kick you out when you're 18. What happens in US and Canada is the moment you're 18, parents are like, yo, you go out, you don't stay with us anymore. So in India that doesn't happen, right? In India they're like, "Arey beta, tu reh le."
Yeah, you can rely, right.
You can stay with them till 23 till 25 and all. And parents so it's just that if you are born in India, you have to take that step to kind of get out of your house.
To move out of the house.
Yeah.
Right,
parents will be all happy to have you home till like 30s and all. They're like, "हाँ बेटा, तू रह ना, तू क्यों जाता है बाहर? तू रह ले."
That's true.
Yeah.
It's funny as well. And that, bringing back the point that you invest as well. Like, how do you invest? Do you do your own analysis of the financial statement, or you have somebody who is like, you have appointed your own chartered accountant or something like that for financial analysis?
No. So I do all my stock investments are my personal investments, but I do consult my brother and my dad. So we three of us kind of invest together. We have our independent accounts, but we kind of invest together after thinking about which company is doing good, which company is doing bad. So if I come across some interesting news or some interesting IP or something, I will communicate it to my dad and brother. And similarly, they will let me know if they've come across anything. It's a very family and an independent thing, but we don't really talk to any financial experts or something as such. It's a very family-driven investing that way.
You mentioned about your brother, and little does everybody know about him that he is also an extra achiever.
No, I think he is the extra achiever. I am not the extra achiever. He's done his IIT. So I think IIT, for any engineer who would relate to it, they would be like, whoa, your brother is an IIT. And I would always go like, yeah, my brother is an IIT.
He's an IIT.
I would go like, yeah, he's an IIT. And I would just be like, I mean, I haven't done much in life. He has done a lot. He's achieved IIT. Because IIT in India is like the epitome of
engineering, right?
The epitome of engineering. So, it's doing great.
Daryl, you see, when you talk about your all-round development, you talked about your trips as well, that most of your plans were impromptu. Actually, coming to impromptu, please tell me about your improv experiences at your office and how did you get into it? And
improv, comedy and improv. I think
improv.
That is also something I hold very dear to me, man. That's like something I hold very dear. So I'll tell how my experience started. Like it's always been me thinking that I have been a funny person and others thinking I'm not. So it was more about trying to.
No, why is that so? No, why is that so that you think you're a funny person and the other person does not think that?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I do find myself naturally funny and that way. And that's how it all started, right? Like I was
No,
like,
actually, no. Again, so excuse
huh.
me to interrupt, but I guess there are different types of funny as well. What happens is, see, if I am talking to you, usually not only to you, my aura has been that I'm quite a serious guy who does not joke around right from
Hmm.
school time. But that is not the truth. When my comedy is that when I see something, okay, I might, find some absurd idea about it and might ridicule about it and
Oh, okay.
make it funny. I won't be funny. I can't be funny like in the very real time. I'll have some equipments with me. Then I can be funny. So even I
Yeah.
am funny at that in that forte. But this is a very different types of funny. I would say.
So the thing about humor, I'll start with my personal journey in humor. Okay,
Uh,
so it started with just cracking jokes among friends, being funny among friend circles and all. But
right.
I think when I went to my office, right, they had this interest group of comedy. Okay, and
Mm,
I was like, there were many interest groups in office. Like there was sports, there was different things. But I was like, I've never really tried comedy, and I've never really tried
mm,
improv and stand up. So why not just give it a shot and join this interest group? And kid you not, Manan, that 2 years have been so funny in that group, like the kind of improv they have. So, like,
mm,
for those of you who don't know what improv is basically like it's kind of a form of humor where you kind of like do sketches and you kind of do role plays and all and try to be
mm,
funny about it. And I kind of got into that and I really enjoyed that. Like, absolutely loved doing that. And I kept going to that interest group. I kept joining them again. I kept engaging them weekly and whenever the meetings were. And I really enjoyed like comedy from that point of view after that. And even at Micah, we kind of are into improv and stand up. We don't have an official club as such, but like 3 to 4 of us have kind of started this thing where we kind of organize improv. Like we had an improv session for the whole batch. Then we kind of do small things like roast, like how the AIB roast was there. So we kind of similarly have had a roast for a friend's birthday and all that. So we do
mm.
these little things. We're trying to record a sketch and all that. So we're trying to do these things about comedy and humor, and that's what my journey personally has been with comedy and so far. But I think the thing about comedy, if I may, about comedy in India, how it has grown or how it has been growing is,
I
I
guess
think
it has been growing since 2014,
yes, it's been
14, 15.
growing since
Once
2014.
because even AIB were, I came across AIB in 2014 or 15 only. And that
Yes,
time to me, they were way ahead of their times.
yes, very true.
And with the controversies and, with different things, that is their problems that they faced. But from since then, what happened after AIB broke up, a lot of comedians started putting their own videos on YouTube as well.
Yes,
And that
yes,
is
yes,
when
yes,
the boom started कि अरे comedy को
yes.
सब देख रहे हैं करके.
So I think digital has played a very crucial role in comedy. So now digital, when I mean, is primarily YouTube because that's how kind of things go. Like that's how comedy has been in general. People prefer watching
Hmm.
comedy on YouTube. But I
YouTube.
think if you want to talk about from a very physical standpoint of view, where this comedy actually happens in this cooking cuckoo club in Bandra or tuning folk
Hmm.
and all that, like these actual clubs where these comedies and things are performed where for a budding comedian like me or you, if you want to be a comedian, you would first go perform in a cuckoo club, and that's where
Hmm.
you try out your jokes and stuff, and that would get
Hmm.
recorded and that would get viral later. So that's how,
Hmm.
if you want a career in comedy, you would start that way. You wouldn't
Hmm.
first record a thing on YouTube and upload it. You would always
Uploaded.
do it with a live audience because
Right.
it's easier to see the reaction of live audience in humor.
Hmm.
Like I was talking to this friend of mine, Raghu, who's into stand up and has been into improv and all. So it's very difficult for him to kind of engage the crowd, like do a stand up when it's on Zoom, like because of COVID, right? So it's very
Yes. Yes. Yes.
difficult to do stand up on Zoom and see the reaction of people. But when
Hmm.
he says he done it, like when he did it like physically, he kind of found it more easier because there he
Found it
can hear the
easier.
people laughing, right? Zoom पे क्या
Hmm.
होता है तूने म्यूट कर दिया, you can't hear
Hmm.
people laughing in the reaction.
Right.
But in general, in actual presence, you hear people laughing. So it's
people.
like, oh, you get the reaction and then you build on the joke and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
humor in general, because of COVID, it's been difficult to do it
It has
online.
been affected a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been affected because it's difficult for the artist to perform online. But we have
Mm.
amazing artists in India, and they have been doing a great job
Great job.
even
Yes,
without,
yes, yes.
yeah, even without
That's
being
true. That's
physically
true.
present that way.
Comedy, and when you talk about comedy, see, a little does. I mean, it's not known to many people, but I guess I told you once that I was doing open mics for quite a while in the first year of my law college.
Yeah, you did
And
mention the open mic.
yeah, and I went around to the places, but it was quite a good experience. Now I did not look at it as that I want to have something parallelly, but I thought of it doing comedy like, see, the first thing is I love a mic. That's why I'm using a mic right now as well. So,
Oh, that's nice.
so
That's lovely.
I have some obsession with the mic, and I wanted to try it out. So comedy did not work out because I thought, like, see, I'm funny, but in a different way, which is not suitable for this. So I thought, this podcast again, it gave me that chance to revive that obsession with Mike. And now I guess
Nice.
I'm doing quite good with this as well.
You're doing amazing, Aman. Manan, you're doing amazing.
Uh, it's fun. And
Yeah,
yeah,
stand up.
I
Stand up
mean,
is interesting.
I guess stand up has always been like trial and error. That
Yes,
to the, the smallest step has to be trial and error, trial and error, trial and error. Only
yes.
then that can be a 1 hour special that can be put out for public to watch.
Very
It's very
true, very
difficult
true.
job, very difficult job.
In fact, if you talk to many stand-up comedians, they'll always tell you
Hmm.
their first stand-up has been a tanker, has been a flop. You'll never ever have a guy who's like done it best in his first stand-up act. It can never
Right,
happen. Like you are an absolute legend if you've done that. I'm sure
right.
even Kenny Sebastian, anyone you talk to, they all have tanked in their first act, and not just their first
Yes.
act. Out of 10 first acts, they would have done well in
Hmm.
one or two. It's
One or
just that
two.
they've not stopped doing it because they love it so
Hmm.
much. They've just continued doing it, and after a point, it's like, oh, like I'm a continue do it, and I'm a continue do it. So that's how they kind of got better at it.
Hmm.
They didn't stop and be like, अरे नहीं ये लोग हंसा नहीं मेरे पे मैं तो अभी से नहीं करेगा I'm not funny. They had that passion and that rigor. They're like, oh my god, I'm just going to continue it. So
Yeah, the
that's what.
persistence is the key in being a stand-up comedian.
Yeah. I think any field for that matter, but stand-up comedy as well, right? Like any field for that matter, you need that persistence. Like football, like I said, or if I say career in marketing, or if I say anything, like you have to be persistent and you have to fight hard for that if you are
Hmm.
passionate about it in general.
Yes, that's true. That's true. That's true. So, have you been to any specials to watch of any of the comedians? Have you watched any comedians live?
No, so the thing was, I started getting into comedy when it kind of started, like the COVID scene started, like just kind of started. So
Okay.
that's the reason I never really physically got to go to a lot of places. So I never got a
Mm-hmm.
live opportunity physically. And I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
it's just a thing bias I have that the first stand-up I want to actually watch. Like I watched a lot of YouTube ones, but I want to watch it physically. I don't want to watch it over like on a Zoom call. Like that's my bias I had. So that's the reason I
Yes.
haven't really done it since the COVID started. I'm like the first
Mm.
one I'm going to watch is going to be in person. So I haven't gone to
Yes.
a famous guy stand up yet. That's something I want to do soon. So let's
I
see.
can I I can narrate my experience with this because back in 2018, in the month of July or August, so Daniel Fernandez was on his tour for his 1 hour special named Shadows.
Okay.
And what happened is it was the time that I had graduated my BCom. I mean,
Hmm.
my results were out for CET, but so there was a time since the college
Hmm.
was to start. I was like, huh, free time hai, so I just randomly purchased a ticket and I was going all alone. I did not
Hmm.
consult ke kisi ko aana hai mere saath because I was going because stand up to watch even live, people are skeptic ke हंसी आएगा नहीं आएगा मैं क्यों 500
Hmm.
रुपए दूँ, things like that. So I booked my ticket. Then 2 days later, I met my friends, who are in USA and Canada. I told them that, I'm going for this Daniel Fernandez show, 500
Hmm.
rupees ka ticket, and I'm going all alone.
Huh.
So they also weren't so much interested to come. But I directly
Okay.
said that कि मेरा ticket already booked and I'm going. So
हाँ.
on the spot, on the spot, right in front of me, they booked 2 tickets for themselves as well.
Oh.
And I'm like, Bharat, tu chinta mat kar, we are coming with you. So I'm like, okay,
Oh.
let's get along. Anyway, I had no plan of, nobody tagging along with me. I'm like,
Got
okay,
it.
come, let's go. And we had a bomb of an experience. See, what Daniel Fernandez, the original Shadows that he published on YouTube, does not
हाँ.
have a few punchlines that he used in the live
Oh, okay. Got it.
this
Got
thing.
it.
So on YouTube, it is around 1 hour and 10 minutes, if I'm not wrong, is our
Okay.
special. But originally, if you go to see live, it extends to 1 hour 30 or 20, 25,
Oh,
30
got
minutes,
it.
roughly
Got it. Got
speaking.
it.
Because what happens in
हाँ.
that is such a situation, okay, there is the public of 40 to 50. On an
Got
average,
it.
that is minimum.
Yeah.
So somebody passes a comment, or if you see a person sitting in the audience and he's dressed funny, or you ask and some his name or anything, there
Got
is
it.
always be some live content to comment on it.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah, that way.
Yeah, yeah. There's always that thing where, oh, this guy, अरे तू सीधा क्यों
Yeah.
बैठा है, or something like that. And people make some joke
Yeah.
on that.
There's always the case. Sometimes it gets political as well. So
Yes.
people who can digest such
Uh,
jokes, that would be advisable for them to go, not
yes,
for
yes.
any
Because I think when it gets
soft-hearted.
to a bigger audience, you have to kind of tone down your jokes. Like if you know you're
Hmm.
uploading something on YouTube, it could get viral, right? So there are
Right.
some jokes which you can't crack, and you have to remember the audience as well. So you have to tone
Hmm.
down and edit those parts, obviously, and you can't go around just cracking
Yeah,
any kind of jokes. So yeah, that's true.
that's true. Yeah, and talking about trips, Daryl, you have also been on a solo trip as well. And I mean, on the day that we decided that, we are recording the episode on Monday, I went ahead and checked your Instagram profile, thinking if I could get something that I don't know about Daryl. And I saw the profile, and he has been on solo trips as well. So, and even in your tags, the people who have tagged you, I have seen a few pics. You're sleeping on the chair of your college auditorium and stuff like that. So tell us about your
Yes.
trips as well. I mean, with friends or solo, either any. Which one will you want to talk about?
So I
We'll
think I
talk
would
about both in that case. First,
let's
talk
talk
about
about
solo
both.
trip.
I like this idea.
Yeah,
We'll talk about
tell me
both.
about solo first, and then group ka thoda we can compromise and leave it for the next episode.
Oh shit, next episode and all. No, I like to talk about the solo trips. Yeah, like, that's something I hold very dear to me. So solo trips, I'll tell you how the journey began. So it was a very
Hmm.
interesting, my first solo trip ever. And I'll tell you how it all began. So what happened was, it was my last week at Morgan Stanley, and
Hmm.
the HR called me and was like, the HR from MediaNet, that is my next company, told me your
Hmm.
joining date is on a Monday. So Morgan
Hmm.
Stanley last day on a Wednesday, and within a 3 day gap on Monday, I had my next joining date.
Meeting
So I like,
next joining.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I just had 3 days left for
Hmm.
joining. So I was like, there's nothing that can be done in 3 days, whatever. On one day before Morgan Stanley, the MediaNet HR calls and is like, the joining date has been postponed by 1 week. So not
Hmm.
that Monday, I go to the
The
next
next
Monday.
one now.
So it's been like kind of like 8 days with that whole week plus these 3 days I had. So on Wednesday, on my last day, I was like, oh shit, now I have one whole week. Like 3 days I'm supposed to chill. What am I supposed to do the whole day? So I'm like, let's go to Himachal. And
I like your, there's nothing to do, so let's go to Himachal.
So my
This is very
parents,
nice.
obviously being typically Indian and are like
Skeptic, huh?
a little skeptic, and they're like, why do you want to go to Himachal?
Yeah, I'm
No,
like,
no,
why
no.
are
They're
you
like,
going alone? Are you
yeah, why are
gone
you going alone?
crazy?
They're like, first thing they're
Go
like,
with friends, na?
no, first question is that. So, acha, you're going to Himachal. Who are you going with? Like, firstly, like, mad reaction. Why do you want to go for a trip immediately now in 1 week? They're like, okay, chal, forget whatever. Who are you going with? I'm like, no one. They're like, what do you mean by no one? And I'm like, I'm going solo. Then I had to actually sit and be like, this is something called a solo trip. You go by yourself, you go meet new people there, you interact with new people, and you make friends there. And they're like, what is this? Why do you want to do
What
this?
is this?
I was
You
like,
better go to church with us, na?
yeah.
And new people you get to meet.
Yes, they're like,
You-
why do you want to go to a different city altogether, like a different place altogether to meet new people there? And I'm like, no, I have to do this. I have like a week, and I I just booked the tickets. Like I just randomly booked a Tatkal ticket that day, and I'm like, I'm going to Himachal. And trust me, Manan, I had no plans, nothing absolutely whatsoever. I kind of, in the train, like literally on my journey to Delhi, I'm looking and seeing hotels I can stay in. Like I had no idea what I'm doing. It was like just go with the flow kind of a thing. I reached Delhi. I had no idea what bus I'll take. At the bus stand, I'm asking people, hey, which bus goes to Himachal and all of that. Even when I reach Himachal, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm asking local people that, hey bro, what do I do? Where do I go? Like honestly, if anyone is planning a solo trip, don't follow this approach. This is just
exactly. Because see, I was aware that you went for a solo trip, but I wasn't aware that you went for a solo trip that is so improv that you don't know where you're staying as well.
Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend this to someone who's going for a solo trip. Do your research well. Do your study of facts well. Do your hotel bookings. Do your study about the place and all. Don't follow this method. But this is just a very personal experience. So I did all of that, and then I went to that place, and it was just that I was staying, like the first hostel I went to, I had no idea what the hostel will look like or what it will be, because I didn't search for it online and all, right? It was just I was asking the local guys, "Are ye hostel kaun sa acha hai?" They would be like, "Are ye hostel ya ye acha hai?" And from there, it was like a proper 20-minute trek to reach to the hostel. Like with my backpack, I had to trek for like proper 20 minutes in the forest, and after crossing the forest, I reached the hostel. So it was like, I was personally very nervous because I was like, am I reaching the right place? Is it the right place? 20 minutes, no one to talk to, nothing whatsoever. And then after that, suddenly I reached that hostel and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm at peace. I reached somewhere, there is a bed, there are people around here. So I'm like, okay, this is not me being kidnapped or this is not me being whatever. And I went to that hostel, and trust me, Manan, it's something everyone should do. A solo trip is something everyone must do, because I spoke to such interesting people there. And I'm not going to say that, oh my god, I spoke to so many foreigners. Foreigners are the shit. You should talk to Israelis or you should talk to guys from UK. They'll give you a different experience and all. But I'm just saying, whenever you go for a solo trip, have a very open mind. You could talk to foreigners and you could learn. You could talk to Indians and you could learn. Like, I'll give you both examples. I was talking to this one girl, and I was casually, like, she was in my next room of the hostel, and I was just casually talking to her, and I was like, hey, what's up, whatever. And we had a good conversation. She was from Australia. She was born and brought up there. She came to India later. She was an Indian and all. And she was kind of cute. So I wanted to talk to her, obviously. And I got a conversation and all with her. But then I was just talking, and we spoke for a day or 2, 3 days and all that. On the 4th day, I asked her, so what do you do for a living? Like, that conversation never came only till then. She's like, I am a model. And I'm like, okay, she's pretty. She was doing some low-key shoots and all. What is a model? And all.
Yeah.
And I'm like, show me some shoot. Like, show me some shoots, whatever. And just show me. She shows me one shoot. And you know these Apple ka launch is there, right? Where Steve Jobs kind of shows the iPhone.
Yes. Yeah.
So there are people in the gallery.
The people that appear in the gallery, right?
In the gallery. And her photo was there in that shoot. And
oh my god!
and I'm like, is this you? She's like, yeah, that's me. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? Dude? You fucking shot for Apple. You were there in that product launch there for Apple, like the iPhone like launch. Your photo was there in that iPhone gallery view. And I go like, I had to all play it cool. I'm like, oh yeah, pretty much for Apple.
Yeah, that is ordinary for me. I had to watch all the events. I've seen
inside, I'm going like, whoa, this person has shot for Apple, and she's talking to me like I'm just another guy. And I'm like, whoa. But that's what I'm saying. Like, many interesting people. Like, there was this one guy who walked all the way from Europe to India to learn Buddhism. He came on a walking journey to India to learn about Buddhism. He walked all the way from Europe to India just to learn about Buddhism. So that's how passionate he was to learn about Buddhism from India. Like, then there was this one girl I spoke to. She actually was a refugee during the Hitler's time, right? So she was a refugee in the concentration camp. She one day had to escape the concentration camp, and during her escape in the night, she could have been shot to death. That kind of experience she had, and she kind of escaped it, and then she was a refugee in Australia again. So she kind of came on a solo trip to India, and she told me her experience about it. So I'm just telling you, you come across like crazy people in like these solo trips. because you don't have your friend circle, right, who you talk to. Usually if you go in a group, like which I'll come to after this, if you go to a group, you'll always be in your group, right? You'll talk to your people in your group and you'll chill, which is a great experience by itself. But in solo trips, what happens is you can make friends with anyone. You can talk to anyone. You don't have any restrictions in times of socializing. So you talk to amazing people, you talk to crazy people, and it's just amazing. Like it's just mad about solo trips.
And this refugee ones gave me goosebumps for real. Huh?
Yeah,
Like when you said that she was going to be shot that night, I'm like, holy shit, what
like,
are we talking about right
so
now?
imagine the kind of passion to escape, right? She wanted to escape the life and death. She's like, no, I want to escape.
Jesus Christ.
So it's like, it's mad.
Shit.
And I think I really want people to do solo trips, like those who have never got a chance. Like many people have genuine reasons, like because family doesn't allow and all of those things. But I would say push really hard for a solo trip. Don't think big. Like I have thought of solo trip to Europe when I'm 28, doing a trip and all that. But don't think big. Start small. Start with things like just a solo trip locally to somewhere in your state, or a solo trip locally, say Goa or whatever. Just do a solo trip small, but do a solo trip. It's an experience everyone should do. So I have personally been of that opinion that
and
like,
and now this thought is not leaving my mind that she was going to be shot, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
she's good.
So we have just heard and read about these things, in school textbooks, and maybe on some YouTube video must have come that what North Koreans go through and stuff like that. But meeting such people in real life is, my God.
It's like a living book, right? It's a library, a person library. So someone is actually telling you a story about what life is and what they came from and where they come from. So you experience so many different perspectives in a solo trip. So it's just that you grow so much as a person. Like you see that person, like there was so much passion to not be ridiculed in that concentration camp that they actually fled with a life and death situation. So no matter what your hardships are, if you have the passion to get out of it, you can if you want. So those kind of thoughts and those kind of where people come from that way. So it's very fascinating that way.
When Daryl, one thing I have noticed in this entire conversation, and I'm going to name this episode that only, that something, it will be the word passion is definitely going to be there in this entire the title of this episode, and I'll add a few more other tags or words to it. But the word passion is going to be there because right from the beginning, see, even though the word passion came up in the later part of the conversation, what their entire life has been like, nahi, football mein kuch karna hai. Okay, then you came to like, I can't leave football, I want to have the wholesome development. So that is purely passion driven. There's no calculation to it that acha main itna karu to that will be sufficient. Damn. The word passion is definitely going to be there in this episode.
Yeah, passion is a very interesting thing. Yeah, you should be passionate about things you like. It just happens to be that sometimes you like a lot of things, sometimes you like less things.
So, yeah, that's true.
So just be passionate about whatever you do. Yeah, like just be passionate about things. Be passionate about what you do, and I think that's what everyone should do and everyone should be in life. Passion is something you should have.
On that note, Daryl.
Yes.
I mean, thank you for coming as a guest and telling me about things that I never knew about you, to be honest. I mean, I have known you since school, but I mean, I have a rough idea of who you were, but
yeah, I mean, it was great for me also, man. It was amazing to be there on this podcast. Like, I was really looking forward to this because firstly, it was more about not just catching up with you, but in general, it was just about experiencing a podcast, because honestly it's been my first podcast ever too. So it's not that I am very familiar with a podcast and I have been this guy who's done a lot of podcasts and all. It was something I was really looking forward to too. And obviously I hope people who are listening to it and have been attentively listening to it, I hope people have something at least they took back from this podcast and have something they learned today and have something they can use in general.
Use it. Yes. Thank you for your time.
Likewise, Manan. Likewise. It was a great time. It was a great time to spend. And